Hi, good morning, hackers. My name is Kaylin Hines, and I am on the Digital Page team. Welcome to a Leader for Leaders workshop. Today, we have Angie Thompson with us to give an amazing presentation about leadership. Angie comes with over 20 years of experience focused on people and technology talent. Most recently, she's been with digital companies such as Cognizant and Hitachi. Angie is a people director with experience in North America and UK insights in data and financial services. So if you have any questions, please reach out to a admin on Discord, and our chat moderators will make sure to get to your questions during our audience Q&A session. So without further ado, here's our speaker, Angie Thompson. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Kaylin. And I'm so happy to be with you today. We'll be talking about leadership, and I'll be sharing some content with you. And really on behalf of Capgemini and myself, I'm really thankful to Digital Page for bringing us all together. And so what I want to discuss with you today and really kind of think about it as a workshop is so that you have some tools to reference in the future as well, is how to become a next generation leader. I really feel like, yourselves are the next generation leaders. And so we'll talk about today how you can apply some, competencies and behaviors and intentionality towards developing your capabilities. And so a few topics I'll focus in on are 4 things. One is energy of a leader. Next will be potential of leaders. And then we'll talk about 4 characteristics of leaders. And then being a resilient leader. And so those are the 4 topics we'll cover today. And as part of our workshop, we'll work together and look at points. So if you're someone who's motivated by kind of keeping engaged and looking at, what can you check off when we look at these 4 topics, I'll remind you of how you can keep up with tallying your score. But being here today, you've already earned your first point. And then I'll ask some questions, and even if you're answering them to yourselves, you'll get a point for engaging and having thoughts and reflecting on those questions. And then under energy of leader, our first category, you'll have 4 points. And you're really just going to be assessing yourself is like, is this a strength of mine? And if it is, you'll give yourself a point. And so I'll remind you of that. And then the second topic is potential of leaders, and it's just really a learning credit. So if you participate and listen in on that session, you'll earn 2 points automatically. And then our third topic is the 4 C's of leaders. And so I'll remind you of how to self-assess there, but just thinking about, is this something that's a natural strength of mine already? And you'll give yourself a point for those categories. And the same with resilience of leaders, giving yourself up to 8 points in that area. So maximum of 20 points today through the workshop, and you can reach out to me or Digital Page with your point tally, and we'd love to consider, giving a prize to those who felt like, that they got close to 20, and we'll assess those numbers as they come in. So I just want to ask you, thinking about yourself, do you feel like you can be a leader? And it's really just to reflect upon where you are now, where you see yourself in the future. Do you feel like you can be a leader? And, think about it in terms of yes, no, or maybe. Maybe you feel like you need more experience and more training. Any of those answers would be valid. And today, what I'm encouraging you is that you can be the next generation, and you can see yourself as a leader now, no matter your role. And really, because leadership is an action, it's not a title, it's not a position, it's the traits that how we carry ourselves and how we inspire others. Cindy Pace provided this quote, and she is a VP of Diversity, a Chief Diversity Officer at MetLife. And so if you haven't read some of her articles and things, you might want to do that. But it's very inspiring as well. But really, seeing yourself as a next generation leader. And so what we'll talk about today through this workshop is what are some of those aspects? How are you seen as a leader? How can you behave as a leader? And so I hope that you'll feel encouraged that you have what it takes to be seen as a leader. Now, another question I want to ask you is, what qualities and traits do you feel like great leaders have? So think about those you've worked with, worked for, anybody who's led a company. Maybe you haven't worked for them, but you've seen them in the marketplace. What traits do you feel like great leaders have? Is it being charismatic? Is it delivering results? Is it how they behave? Is it how they treat one another and treat others? So there's a lot of, interpretations of individually what we value in a leader. And so that's why I chose these 4 topics today on leadership, because it takes a lot of different personalities and behaviors and competencies to really be a successful leader and even become a inspiring leader. So think about those, that you admire in their leadership roles, and what traits are they that they have that maybe we can think about today as you go through the lesson. And if any of the things that we'll learn about today, apply to any of those people. Okay, so this is our first topic. This is a topic where you can earn up to your 4 points on your own self-assessment. And so I am going to talk to you about your energy and showing leadership potential. And then we'll dig in and say, what is that effort? And we'll remember it by this acronym, DICE. And this is from a executive leadership development training I've gone through in the past, but this is very condensed version based on the principles, but from Egon Zander. And so the leadership potential can really dig in and look at, are you a determined leader? Are you someone who takes initiative? Are you curious? And are you engaged? Those are all elements of energy, how we are. And maybe some of these you can develop. A lot of these are going to be your own, driven by your own desires, being determined, having initiative, being curious, being engaged. And so we'll dig into each of these 4 sections. And so as we go through each one of them, think about yourself and where you are today, where you want to be. And if you feel like it's a good strength of yours or a natural strength of yours, you would give yourself 1 point for each of these, DICE. Okay, so the leadership energy of being determined. What are some of those efforts that you display in showing your leadership potential? Is recognizing problems. I think this topic and being determined relates well to being a data scientist, being a data analyst, being a consultant, like all of us are at Capgemini, and really recognizing what are the problems, what are the actions that I need to take, but above that, what's the outcome? What is the goal that you really want to accomplish? And then as you go through, that problem statement, you've set your goals and objectives. Maybe you're leading a team, maybe you're a team member, but you're constantly looking at, that long-term picture and seeing where you are and evaluating your progress, and then thinking about how you want to share the results. Do you want to use dashboards? Do you want to have a meeting? Do you want to, in the end, celebrate your success? And so really that determination really ties in to someone's leadership potential, and how leaders are seen. Because if you think about successful, say, Fortune 500 companies, who's leading those companies? Oftentimes it's CEOs, a lot of them probably are very strong in having that determined mindset, and really solving problems, creating business outcomes, and then, celebrating, in the marketplace when they've reached those goals. And so the next leadership potential, the energy category, is having initiative. So are you someone who takes action? You like this picture, you see a mountain and you're like, I'm ready to climb that mountain. And you go forward, you have a plan, you make a plan, all the steps that you want to take. I would also say, you're going to be nimble in today's volatile world. You need to be nimble and agile, but creating solutions along the way, being back to that determined place, and overcoming what all of those challenges will be, and bringing people together, because it might not only be your own initiative that needs to be, high, but bringing people together to accomplish all of those goals and plans, step by step, no matter if there are hurdles. So really being someone who has strong initiative really shows leadership potential. So give yourself a point if you feel like this is a strength of yours. You're someone who knows how to get involved, take action, make a plan, and see it through. And then our next leadership potential category is being curious. Also, I think this applies well to being a data scientist, is really getting involved with the problem statement, researching, finding the facts, digging into the data, asking the questions, getting knowledge from others, making sure you're up to date on skills and your learning experiences, always seeking out new learning opportunities. I would say a lot of you here today would fall in that category, being involved in this hackathon. And then connecting everything that you're learning to these problems or to these solutions you're building, or any experience that you're leading through life and at work. So really, leadership, having strong leadership potential really is tied to curiosity, seeking out new information, continuously learning. So give yourself a point here if you feel like this is a strength of yours, is being curious. Next category of leadership potential is being engaged. So if you think about leaders, I think I mentioned earlier, like a charismatic leader, maybe they have that personality of really bringing people together, having nice time, connecting people, embracing diversity, every individual in their team, making sure they're building relationships. Ashvin had a series session today, actually, that talked about networking. But really the angle of that is building the relationships, networking to meet people, and then taking it a step further. Being engaged is also about communicating clearly, summarizing information maybe in writing, having good one-on-one sessions, having good team sessions together. And then also being an engaged leader, really being about empathy, being caring, being honest, understanding where other people are in your team. And then an engaged leader is also finding opportunities to appreciate others, build those connections, and also be a coach to lead the team in the right way. So give yourself a point here if you feel like this is a strength of yours, showing leadership potential to be very engaged. Okay, so that concluded our leadership potential category. The second category, you're going to receive 2 points just for kind of really understanding this concept here today. And this is what in the industry is known as leadership potential through a 9-box evaluation. And I chose to share this with you today because, if you're thinking about your career path and joining corporate America and what it may take to go up the ladder, a lot of organizations use a framework like this. This this box is not from any employer I've worked with, nor at Capgemini, but it's pulled from the Human Capital Institute website. But it is kind of a general concept of how organizational talent management, HR, leadership teams evaluate employees and their leadership potential. So there's two aspects of it. It's your leadership potential rating combined with your performance rating. So on this box, the bottom axis is your performance rating. So say it's low, medium, high, going left to right. And then your potential leadership rating would be the same, low, medium, high, going, from the bottom to the top. And so to have a strong leadership potential rating would be the top right corner, and that would be the 9th box. So that would mean if you follow the axis, it would be you have the high performance rating based on your work and your output, and then you're seen with having strong leadership potential on the left axis of high. And so as an organization, there may be career development plans of all of those in each box, whether it's your, the superstar in the 9 box, and what the organization would want to further offer you and develop you. So this framework is a part of a talent management workforce planning effort. And I wanted you to have this concept in mind of thinking about yourself, thinking about how you might be seen, strong performance, strong outputs, but also being the leader, the things we're learning about today, being determined, showing strong initiative, engaging with others, leading teams. And this could be, a way that your leadership team and those that you work for, could evaluate your leadership potential for promotions and opportunities, things like that. Okay, quick poll. Just a question that you can reflect on. A boss and a leader are the same. And the answers could be definitely yes, no, not necessarily, or the answer could be sometimes. It depends. So think about, what a boss means to you, what a leader means to you. And the next topic I want to cover is, leadership traits of our executive leaders. But to me, really, it could be at any level of leadership, whether you're a team lead, whether you're a supervisor, because as we talked about early on, leadership is through action. And so some of those actions tie back to traits that we have. These 4 characteristics in this case of being a C-suite leader. So if we think about all of those top executives at large companies, entrepreneurs as well, probably some of you will end up being entrepreneurs if you're not already. But some of the traits that, strong leadership has, from being courageous, taking risk, having the competencies to move teams forward despite obstacles, being confident in your decisions, being able to be that problem solver, that curious thinker that we talked about earlier, and gathering all those data points, all of your experience, and then being able to make decisions clearly. They're not always going to be right decisions, but having confidence based on what you know, experiences you've gained, information that you have to be able to make those decisions, a very important aspect of being a C-suite leader. Also being collaborative. I think this ties back to being engaged, building your teams, valuing diversity so that all points are taken and all of those individuals can contribute to the outcomes of a successful team. So really, being the bridge that brings people together to collaborate through any work problem. And then another thing to be reflecting on is being centered. So you think about calm, cool, and collected, right? Of a C-suite leader, an executive, someone that knows how to work well under pressure, you know, stays fairly positive and focused on those outcomes for the business. So being centered is a good one. And that's one I want to look at a little closer with you now. But before we move on, if you feel like any of these traits and characteristics apply to you today, give yourself a point for each of these four, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have up to 4 points you can earn right now on this category. And then before we move on, I want to ask you which of those characteristics you already have. So giving your self-assessment there with your points. And then which ones do you really want to develop? Which ones do you feel like, you know, given, you know, roles that you may have now or in the future, you know, what are some things that you feel like you could strengthen? Because the thing about all of these characteristics are, some of them are fairly innate, you know, behaviors that we may be naturally gifted. But they're also, all four of these are things that are coachable. And these are areas that can be improved through your own self determination and training and seeking out experiences that can build these characteristics up. So with that, I want to talk a little bit more about being centered as a leader. So being centered, being calm, cool, collected, present, it really envelops all aspects of well-being, including your body, your mind, and your spirit. And some of those areas, you know, to be more specific, you know, our well-being of our body, our nutrition, you know, our fitness, our exercise, stretching, yoga, all the things that we do to take care of our heart, our muscles, our bones, all of those things that really make us a stronger individual. So being centered, you know, a strong element of that is well-being of your body, also of your mind. Spending time to reflect, meditate, pray, having that attitude of gratitude, I know is a good saying, but it really applies here, and helps you, you know, reflect on all the things that you might be grateful for, and then having a calm state of mind. And I think that comes through being reflective, and really giving yourself the time and space to deal with each day, each situation, and being present. And then the third element of being centered is your spirit, that energy. We talked about that in our first topic, the leadership potential through your energy and your efforts. So it's defining your purpose, your connection with others, with yourself as well. So these are all things that a leader can bring to the table to really be, you know, well-rounded on your wellness, your well-being in all elements of body, mind, and spirit. So no points on this slide. We covered it in the previous slide. Okay, and so this is my fourth topic for this workshop, and this is thinking about being resilient, being a resilient leader, leading with empathy. And so if we think about what is resilience, it's really being able to recover quickly from difficult conditions. You know, there have been years in different companies, different markets, different industries that are very difficult. And as leaders, we're to rise above those challenges. And being resilient is part of being a leader. Being tough, being quick to recover, being strong, taking upon your experiences, and, you know, having all of those energy, strengths we talked about, that determination, that initiative, that curiosity, that engagement, and taking that forward as well. And so we're going to talk about, you know, what are some of the 8 aspects that really show being a resilient leader. And so you can start guessing at what any of these may be, and we'll look at them and talk about them too. And you'll have up to 8 points to earn on this section on your self-assessment of, do you already have some of these aspects? Are they a strength in your life and how you carry yourself and how you think about things? And so some of these we'll look at now of being a resilient leader. So the first 4, and you can give yourself up to 4 points here. One is being calm. So that's part of, that being centered we just talked about, supporting your own well-being. Another of being a resilient leader is listening and empathizing with others. And then communicating and connecting, being that engaged leader we talked about. And then building inclusive, productive teams, also being engaged, valuing diversity of individuals' backgrounds and experiences and thoughts. And then for another up to 4 points, resilient leaders are innovative and they focus on growth and how to solve problems. They also assume authority and delegate. So they don't take it all upon themselves. They're building their teams, they're relying on their teams, and being able to delegate across. And they're encouraging the collaboration broadly and widely. And they're reflecting. They're, being present in their state of mind, reflecting, learning from every experience, every person, and being that resilient leader through all of these categories. Through the good times and the challenging times. It will really help you if you have some of these aspects where you can really think about leading teams and your leadership potential. Okay, so we covered all 4 topics. So I want to recap with you and for you to think about, which leadership area that we discussed today is going to help you become the next generation leader that I know that you are. One is the energy. We talked about DICE, determined, initiative, curious, engaged. The next topic was potential. We looked at that 9-box view, always thinking about how your performance impacts, how you can be seen as a leader as well, and how those intersect and seeing your leadership potential. We talked about the 4 characteristics, especially in C-suite leadership, of being centered, being courageous, confident, collaborative. And then we just talked about being a resilient leader, the aspects that it really helps leaders go through challenges. And so that is the conclusion of this workshop today. My email is listed here for you. You're welcome to reach out to me if you want more materials. You want to give me any feedback on this session today, I welcome it. And also, if you want to share with me your points, you can share that with Digital Page or myself, because we'll collaborate on what we will be offering and who for the prize of your points, up to 20 points. My LinkedIn is here. Feel free to connect with me. And also some good links for Capgemini, our diversity and inclusion, which is an area of passion for me in my job role at Capgemini, but also just personally. And part of the reason that we're here with you today from Capgemini. And then also a recent publication of an award we received that we're most proud of. And then the materials and things that I reflected on because of, all of my experience in the talent space is listed here. So I think any of these links will be interesting to you when you think about, developing your leadership skills. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Digital Page. I've enjoyed this time and being able to share with you.
You, Angie, so much for such a impactful presentation. I think looking at the next gen leaders or understanding how we can become next gen leaders is really important because it's something that you need to reflect on and build on. And during the presentation, I feel like I was really able to reflect on myself and see, as somebody who's not necessarily in a leadership position yet, how I can grow and how I could change my actions and my mindset to really become the leader that I believe I want to be. So thank you again. Um, we will be uploading this recorded session to our YouTube channel, so look out for that later today. We also have challenge check-ins going on. Mock interviews are still going on, or no, they will be happening at 1, sorry. And at 3, our next event is the Strategic Leadership Through a Consulting Lens panel discussion. So make sure to be on the lookout for those events coming soon. You can also find a full schedule of events on Discord, so you can find links and see what times these are if you forget. Remember to utilize this weekend's Discord and the various channels if you have questions, and a digital page admin will be available to help. So thank you again, hackers, for joining. Thank you to Angie for a wonderful presentation, and have a wonderful rest of your day.